Shame on the BBC! Shame on the BBC!
This week we watched the horrific images of 195 bodies without names, only numbers, released back to Gaza. They had been tortured, some had been executed, some were blindfolded, bound, in various stages of decomposition. Some had ropes around their necks, others were missing teeth or limbs, some had been burned. Over 50 of these poor people were buried unidentified. Dr. Munir al-Bursh of the Health Ministry stated they did not die naturally. They were executed while restrained, a war crime, demanding an urgent international investigation. Living prisoners are emaciated, bruised and psychologically traumatised. The BBC reported Palestinian prisoners released after Hamas frees hostages. Always the disparity. The 35 returned Israeli hostages, living and dead, have been humanised in BBC reports. They are named, photographed with loved ones, they have detailed biographies outlining their hopes and dreams. The BBC does not do the same for Palestinians. We do not learn of the healthcare workers abducted from hospitals, of fathers, brothers, sons lifted from black ops sites. We do not learn of the aid workers, teachers, journalists and children stolen from their families and disappeared into Ketziat and Stit Taman in Israel. Nearly 100 healthcare workers are still imprisoned, including Dr. Hussam Abu Safia, abducted while on duty as director of Kamal Adwan Hospital on December the 25th, 2024. 431 healthcare workers were seized by Israeli troops since October the 7th and spent an average of 511 days incarcerated. 5 healthcare workers are still missing and 5 have died in Israeli custody as a result of Israel's deliberate and systematic ill-treatment, sexual abuse and torture of political prisoners. The Jewish resistance fighter Jean Amiri was tortured by the Gestapo before being sent to Auschwitz. After the war he wrote, "Those who are tortured remain tortured. Our faith in humanity, already cracked by the first slap in the face, then demolished by torture, is never acquired again." This is the same week that the UK government, and by extension the BBC, worked through the night to facilitate the attendance of Maccabi Tel Aviv fans for an away match at Aston Villa. The UK government cares more about Israeli thugs than their own continued complicity in genocide in Palestine. A government that cares more about appeasing the Israeli lobby than standing up to apartheid and racism. The same week that Unison members were denied entrance to their own conference at the waterfront for showing solidarity with Palestine. The poster that caused the problem read, "Stop genocide, stop illegal occupation, stop ethnic cleansing." Some people don't like the truth. Some people would prefer if we were silent. Solidarity with union members and supporters who stood firm in the face of discrimination. This is the same week that Paul Gibbons, Sammy Wilson, David Brooks and Ben Mallon from the DUP, Ron McDowell from the TUV and Steve Aiken from the UUP are guests of Israel. Are guests of Israel in occupied Jerusalem on a junket to help them understand how to deal with conflict. A fully paid for propaganda tour. An education minister who has nothing to say about 400 Palestinian children imprisoned in Israel, about every school and university in Gaza being bombed, or about Palestinian children being out of school for over 2 years. It should come as no surprise that an education minister who stands in the way of integrated education here should be an honoured guest of an apartheid ethno-state. Israel, the US, the UK government and indeed some of our own politicians continue to tell us that this is civilization, that they are upholding Western values. If imprisoning and torturing healthcare workers, children, the elderly, the disabled, journalists, an autistic teenager, an old woman with Alzheimer's is civilised, then what the hell is barbarity and what exactly are Western values?
Between 2003 and 2013, over 7,000 Palestinian children were abducted in the middle of the night or while going to school at the Israeli checkpoints. They were tortured, they were beaten, they were sexually harassed, and at times they were raped. In July 2023, 3 months before October 7, Save the Children published a report which showed Palestinian children in Israeli prisons have been consistently reporting experiences of rape, experiences of being beaten and being confined to solidarity confinement. We want to know why the mainstream media and the particular BBC never reported on the report which was published 3 months before the October 7. We want to know why the world was silent on October 6th when 156 Palestinian children were in Israeli prisons illegally abducted from their homes, from their schools, and under torture. We want to know why Palestinians are referred as prisoners while Israelis are referred as hostages. Palestinians are not imprisoned because they have done any particular crime. They are not also imprisoned because there has been any legal procedure in place. They are basically imprisoned because they dare to live on their own land, because they are Palestinians. So they are not prisoners, and Israelis are not hostages. All of them, exclusively the one which were released in the recent prison exchange, were Israeli soldiers participating in a genocidal project of settler colonialism. I want to end my words by reading a testimony of Omar, a child from Gaza, who was released very recently. Israeli forces detained and tortured Omar for 26 days in a military prison camp. His name was Omar Nezar Mahmoud. The nightmares are relentless. Every time I shut my eyes, the same faces and interrogations replay in my mind. Israeli forces transferred me outside of Gaza and subjected me to severe tortures for almost a month in violation of any international law. Omar was seeking aid at the distribution site when the soldiers encircled him and took him along with 34 other people. They were made to remove their clothes, leave them with their only underwear, and forced them to give away all their belongings, after which they were taken to an army site where they were made to lie on their stomachs while being inspected. Omar was then interrogated and ordered to provide details of his family and relatives. Dissatisfied with Omar's responses, the interrogator subjected Omar to torture. Omar was brought to the roof of the building and tied to a rope, where he was left hanging upside down for an extended period. Later, the interrogator released the rope, causing Omar to plummet to the ground, dropping the height of roughly 5 floors before the rope became taut again, stopping his fall about half a meter above the ground, where he was left suspended for approximately 20 minutes. The torture caused Omar to urinate, as he was left struggling to breathe and suffocating. He says, "I felt as though I was teetering on the brink of death." Omar was released after 26 days of torture, but nobody knows how many more Palestinian children are experiencing what Omar did. Thank you.